So welcome to our third class on global language. Already we have understood the necessity of global language. Today, we'll try to move on the danger of global language. Of course, every coin has its opposite side. So global language has many necessities and benefits and advantages. At the same time, the global language will have some disadvantages. We'll try to focus on the disadvantages of having a global language, and then we'll try to refute the disadvantage, how we can overcome the disadvantage or dangers of global language. Okay, thank you. So if we move on to these slides, we see that what are the dangers of global language. Of course, as I have said, the benefits are there of a global language, and at the same time, dangers or disadvantages are there of a global language. The first come first that the global language will make a aristocratic class. What type of aristocratic class? That means monolingual linguistics class. As we have observed that if we take granted that English has been a global language, um, you will see that the person who can understand and speak English language properly and smartly, having the exact British or American pronunciation, they will have aristocracy in their attitude that yes, I know English language very well. It is one portion. And another portion is that if we see the scenario that many persons use global language of their mother language, and a person having English as the mother language, they will see that my mother language, our mother language has been the global language. So other languages are not a language in its true term. That means they will have a negative attitude to the other languages, people and the language as well, especially the language. Number two, perhaps those have such a language as their disposal, especially those who have it as a mother tongue, will be more able to think and work quickly on it. Another thing is that the mother language, the person who will be using English as their mother language, of course, they will have the linguistics power more than us who use English language as the second language or the international language. Obviously, I can be the master of English language. I can be more competent in using English language. Rather, my linguistics complacency will not be equal to a person who use English as a mother tongue or mother language. So there will be a gap of performance and based on language, based on global language. If global language wouldn't be there, then such kind of linguistics division, power division based on language would not be occurred all over the world. This is, and of course, this kind of linguistics power division will make a difference between poor and rich as well, because the English speaking country and they have their mother tongue simultaneously. Other rich countries or the rich people, they can understand and learn English easily and quickly, and they can disseminate their power towards the person who are poor or who do not have the money to learn English language, who do not have the time to learn English language. So based on the global language, there would have a class division between rich and poor, between mother language and other languages. Perhaps The presence of global language will make people lazy about learning other languages. Okay, so when a language becomes a global language, and we have already been learned that there are nearly 3,500 living language. But if a person learns English language or the global language, he or she doesn't have the necessity to learn other language. So the people rather would be very much lazy. And uh, we, the people who use English as the second language, they would be uh, in an advantageous position. In which way? That means Bangla is our mother language. And next time we know English language, the global language. That means we know two languages. That means one Bangla, our mother tongue, and the English language. But the people who is living in USA and UK, they know their mother language only, and it has been the global language. And for this reason, the people, are UK born people, know only English language. And it is not the matter that he knows one language, or she, a person living in UK or USA, knows one language, English. It doesn't matter of some negative feelings. But the point is that the people, the global language will make the people lazy to learn other language. They will see that, yes, we know global language. There is no necessity of learning other language. There is no necessity of taking pains of learning other language. So that is the general phenomena you will be noticing all over the world. So, and they have been lazy in one hand and reduce their opportunities to do so. Reduce their opportunity. What type of opportunity? If we know, already we have mentioned in one class that Dr. Muhammad Shahidullah learned 80 languages at the time. And very recently, Lata Mangeshkar has died. And she composed songs in 36 languages. And the language will have a link to cultures, literatures, and other performing art of a country. So when a person will be lazy in learning other languages for the cause of global language, because we are discussing the dangers of global language or the disadvantages of global language. So when the people will be lazy to learn other languages, they will lose the other languages, literatures, and cultures as well. So that is a great loss, or that is a great danger of having a global language all over the world. Anyway, and the global language will hasten the disappearance of minority language. Okay, so you people are attending a course global language, and the percentage of Bangladeshi people or the ethnic people, they don't attending the class, so they don't uh, understand the necessity of ethnic language or the global language or the other languages. And for this reason, the minority language will die away. And this is called language death. And that threat or that danger of global language is the massive one, that for the linguistics imperialism, that means, or language imperialism, linguistics imperialism, that means to rule other country based on language in one way. Language imperialism, that means the language who will have the status of the global language, that means the language of aristocratic class. So such kind of, for the presence of such kind of global language, the minority language will die away. Simply the people will not be interested to learn the Chakma language in Bangladesh. So one day, the last Chakma speaking person will die away, and as soon as the last speaking person of a language will die away, the language will die. That is called language death. So if we define what is language death, that means when the last speaking person of a language die away, the language is dead. Linked with all this is the unpalatable face of linguistics triumphalism. Linguistics triumphalism. The danger that some people will celebrate one language success at the expense of others. So if people will be congratulating and celebrating the presence of English language, simultaneously for the presence of English language, other minority language will die away. And there are many who think that all language learning is a waste of time. As we have mentioned a little bit earlier, that is, when you know global language, other people will see that's why we will be learning the other language. It's a simply waste of time. So we can't go for learning such kind of unnecessary language, we will say. Okay. And many more who will see nothing wrong with the vision that the world with just a one language in it would be a very good thing. Actually, if we walk in the street of UK, and if you hear someone speaking Bengali language, then you will go close to him or her and say, oh, are you a person? You are speaking Bengali. Where are you from? Are you from Bangladesh or West Bengal or India? Okay, naturally, language will make a link between the people using one language. So such kind of language complacency is there in a society. So many people will say that global language is necessary because for the cause of the global language, the people will have a unity. So language can unification scored. Language can be a unification line through which the people living in a country will live in harmony. Some people will say that this is the advantage of global language. Okay, for some, such a world would be one of unity and peace with all misunderstanding washed away. A worldly expressed hope underlying the movements in support of the universal artificial language such as, so such kind of understanding we can say that uh, a view, such kind of view that yes, one language in our world. So we have one world, we live in a world in one geographical location. So we should use one language. And there was an international movement. That is, they say that universal artificial language movement, as such as Espirito, they initiated the such kind of movement. So it is not quite uncertain that the people will try to have a world with one language. For others, there are some other people who will be speaking that a world would be a desirable return to the innocence that must have been present among human beings in the days before the Tower of Babel. So there is a myth of Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel myth says it's Tower of Babel. It myth says that the people, they wanted to keep themselves aloof of all language, and for this reason, they wanted to make a country. According to Genesis, the Babylonians wanted to make a name of themselves by building a mighty city of tower, but with its top in the heavens. But God disrupted the work by so confusing the language of the workers that they could not no longer understand each other. So they were building this tower, the people, working people, and they say that these all the people will be living in this Babylonian city. They will be speaking in one language. And the Babylonian, you know, it's a secret city according to the book of Genesis. Next time, the planners who plan to have a city of one language, they observed that the working people who were working to build this tower, they started to speak so different languages. It, what does it mean? It means that according to book of Genesis, that God himself encourages multilingualism. God didn't encourage to be a monolingual city like the Tower of Babel. Okay, this is another myth. The last point can be quite briefly discussed. That is, the use of a single language by a community is no guarantee of local harmony or the mutual understanding. Okay, so the last point that we see that if a country's people will be using in one language, that country will be more united, and in that country there will be a social harmony. It was the supposition, but our writer of this book, that is David Christian, she had pointed out that no, there is no guarantee in a country of social harmony if the people, if all of the people speak in English language. And for example, he has said that America is a monolinguistics country, basically in one language, English. 98% people in America use in English language. So there, American Civil War, we have observed, and the Spanish as well, the Spanish Civil War, the Vietnam War, the former Yugoslavia, and the contemporary Northern Ireland. So such countries are the monolinguistics countries. Still, we have seen, the history has seen the presence of civil war in these monolinguistic countries. So language can make social harmony that is not granted. And in the same way, in a linguistically diversified country like Finland, Singapore, and Switzerland, we see there more harmony. They have more harmonious situation in their social harmony. So though Singapore, Switzerland, and the Finland are a multilingual country, so that point cannot be guaranteed. So these are the dangers. And again, this point is connecting to the linguistics power that we discussed at the very initial stage of our today's class, that the power, the language, the person who will be using global language as their mother tongue, they will be in more advantageous situation. So what kind of power is this? Will those who speak a global language as a mother tongue automatically be in a position of power compared with those who have to learn it as an official or the foreign language? So such kind of supposition will see that the one person who will be speaking English language, he or she will be in power. So the risk is certainly, well, certainly real. It is possible, for example, just we can how. So the supposition is that the person who speaks English language, he or she will have more power. That is the supposition. Let's discuss. That scientists who do not have English as a mother tongue will take longer to assimilate reports in English compared with their mother tongue colleagues, and will, as a consequence, have less time to carry out their own creative work. Gradually, we will be understanding. Suppose you have gone to America for research purpose or something else. You are a doctor, most probably. Suppose think that you are a doctor. You have gone to USA for your study purpose. And when you have reached there, you have observed that so many doctors are there in that country to study, as well as you will see many US nationalities or US citizens, they were studying with you as your classmates. So what would be the difference? Difference is that you have to write your research paper in English language. Here, the result is that the US citizen will make his or her report quickly and very competently in comparison to yourself, because you have a language, English, but English is your second language or the official language or the international language. So such kind of deviation will have in case of linguistics power. Most probably you have understood that. And it's also possible that people who write up their research in languages other than English will have their work ignored by the international community. Okay. Suppose you are studying literature and you have been a novelist and you have written a novel, given a name, blah, blah. But you have written your novel in Bangla language. So how many person will be reading your novel? Only the people living in Bangladesh and the West Bengal. But if you write your novel in English, then your writing will cover a vast area of this world only for the cause of linguistics power. And same thing or same position was expressed by Chinua Achebe in his writing, African novelist. It is possible that the senior managers who do not have English as their mother tongue and who find themselves working for the English language companies in such parts of the world, Europe, Africa, would find themselves at advantages in comparison to mother tongue. So same thing we see in case of the managers. If anyone visits Africa or the European countries, the manager who will be English in their possession, well, he or she will be a best manager, with the best manager. And there is already an anecdotal evidence to suggest that this thing happens. So I have made the idea clear by giving some examples of yourself and us. However, if proper attention is paid to the question of language learning, the problem of disadvantage dramatically diminishes. So we have discussed some advantages, disadvantages of global language. Now question comes how we can eradicate the disadvantages or the dangers of the global language and how we can keep ourselves safe from the linguistics power of global language. Answer is that bilingualism or trilingualism or multilingualism. Okay, so if a global language is taught early enough, from the time that children begin their full-time education, and if it is maintained continuously and resourced well, the kind of linguistics competence which emerges in due course is a real and the powerful bilingualism. So the question arises, the problems of the problem of global language or the dangers of global language can easily be eradicated to make ourselves bilingualism. That means we have to know my mother language as well as the global language or any other language. This is called bilingualism. That means a person who can speak in two languages. So how and when we will be learning the second language in our life? Here, the researcher has said that, yes, if we can start learning second language at early in our life, that means when we will be starting the regular education in school. And if we start learning English language or the second language from class 1, that would be easier for the person, that means the child, to learn the language quickly and very efficiently in comparison to person who starts learning second language at the age of 20 or at the age of 18. So, but there are enormous ifs with costly financial implications. And it is therefore not surprising that this kind of control is currently achieved by only a minority or non-native learners of any language. So such kind of thing cannot happen, because if we observe the scenario of Bangladesh, we see 4 types curricula in Bangladesh. One, national board curriculum, that means what we call Bangla medium. Apart from this, English medium school, another school English version school, another school madrasa education. So four types of educational curricula in Bangladesh. And we know that studying English medium school in Bangladesh is expensive. And it is more or less true for maximum countries of this world. So the supposition is that if anybody wants to, if any country makes a plan of teaching second language, so learning second language should be started at the early stage. And according to this researcher, that is, they should start from class 1. The regular schooling, that means even from class play KG nursery, this one. The fact that it is achievable as evidenced repeatedly by English speakers from such countries as Denmark, Sweden, and the Netherlands. But here it said that if a country wants to do such kind of initiatives, then he can do so. Why? Why the researcher is giving so much importance of studying or learning second language at the early stage? It is worth reflecting at this point that on the notion that children are born ready for bilingualism. There is a research that suggests that we have discussed that that Chinese is the top language, but a Chinese children learns his mother language within 2 years. And Bangla is the easy language to us. And even a Bangladeshi child learns his or her mother tongue within 2 years. That means within all languages, the children will learn language in 2 years. So language is complex. It is not a logic. The logic is that the children are ready to accept a thing, and if it becomes a language, that is, then the children can learn language quickly, more quickly than us, an aged person. Some 2/3 of the children on earth grow up in a bilingual environment. Another point is that one point, children are ready to be bilingual. Second point is that some 2/3 of the world children, they are born in bilingual environment. It may be Bangla English, it may be Hindi, French, it may be Marathi, Gujarati, it may be Sanskrit and Urdu, like that. So 2/3 of the world children born in a bilingual atmosphere. So what is the benefit of having or living in a bilingual environment? That means children will be learning 2 languages automatically without much effort. Our children can learn 2 languages. And there is a naturalness with which they assimilate another language. Once assimilate one language, that means they will find, the children will find the similarity between 2 languages. So they will be learning Bangla language as well as the other language. Once they are regularly exposed to it, which is the envy of adults, it is an ability which seems to die away as children reach their teens. But the matter is that teen, that means 13s, 12, there is no teen. So such kind of natural ability of learning language will die away when a child will be in 13 years old. Okay. We are discussing the time of learning second language that we have observed in our slides, that a child will learn language very quickly, and such kind of competence of a child will go away in when it will be, a child will be 13 years old. So that tendency will and for this reason This is called the critical period. There are many research about this, that how the children can learn a language quickly. That is the natural. There is, however, widespread agreement that if we want to take the task of foreign language learning seriously, one of the key principles is the earlier, the better. Okay, so as early as you will start learning a second language, that would be easier and the better for the language learners. And when the risk is a task is taken seriously with reference to the acquisition of the global language, the elitism argument evaporates. What does it mean? It means that if anybody starts learning second language from age 3 or 4, she or he will be learning English language as similar to a native English language speakers. And when it would be the scenario, then the elitism of English language learners will evaporate. That is the question. So thank you very much for attending the class.